Master Reviews. I'm your host, Movie Master, and today we are reviewing Land of the Dead, the fourth film in the George A. Romero Zombie series. And this is an interesting movie. I remember seeing this movie back when it came out in 2005, and I recall vividly that there was no movie theater showing this movie. The only movie theater close to where I used to live was like an hour away. And back in 2005, I was in high school, I didn't have a car, I didn't have transportation, and I wasn't going to take a bus all the way over there. So I resorted to a friend who had a bootleg copy of this movie. He let me borrow the movie, and since it was so hard to obtain a copy of this movie, I guess I really loved it back then. And I loved it so much that I ended up buying the DVD when it came out. And back when the DVD came out, you couldn't even get it in Blockbuster. Blockbuster wasn't carrying it for some reason. And back then, in 2005, the place to buy movies or rent movies was Blockbuster. So I had to, again, get a friend to buy the movie. I think he went to Circuit City. Back then, Circuit City was still open, and he bought me a copy of Land of the Dead. And back then, I used to love this movie. Watching it now, I hadn't seen it in such a long time. It's not that great. It's very mediocre, to tell you the truth. I personally consider the George A. Romero films, the first three, just a trilogy. Now I don't really consider this film part of the series. But you can't ignore it. It is still part of that zombie series. So the question is this a reboot? Is this another sequel? What is it? Well, it is in fact a sequel. It takes place, I would say, 15 to 20 years after the initial infection, and you have a group of survivors again who are in this different world because you have this rich industrialist who has everybody segregated. And, you know, I have everybody who's poor on this area and everybody who's rich on this section. And the cast in this film is John Leguizamo, Simon Baker, the late Dennis Hopper, and Asia Argento. The cast is okay, you know, the acting is not bad. The problem with the movie is the story. You have this subplot about John Leguizamo, who was double-crossed by Dennis Hopper's character. He was supposed to give him some money. He didn't end up giving him the money, so now he's blackmailing him, telling him, you don't give me my money, I'm just going to blow up your nice, rich little life. And I'm going to use this huge van called Dead Reckoning, which was the original title of the movie, Dead Reckoning, and they ended up changing it to Land of the Dead. But anyway, he wants to blow him to pieces, and that was the initial subplot. And that subplot ends up becoming the real plot of the film. It's just not that interesting. It starts off okay, but it then just becomes really uninteresting. And you also have the zombies learning now. Whereas in Day of the Dead, you had the character of Bub, the character of Bob playing around with a gun and some little knickknacks here and there. It was still believable. But in this movie, you have a character, I forget his name because I don't give him a name, is this guy right here. This guy grabs a machine gun, learns how to shoot with a machine gun, and he teaches all the other zombies how to fight and shit. It almost gets to the point where I'm like, this is just not that good. So there are some moments that I do like. I do like the moments where you're seeing the rich people who don't give a fuck about anybody else other than themselves, and at the end they get what they deserve. But other than that, this movie is very mediocre. It doesn't hold up to the other three films in the series. And while it is part of the franchise, it's still canon with the other three films, it just isn't that special. The social commentary is really lost in this movie. The only message, so to speak, is that all we care about is money, but it's not really there. That's just we as fans trying to find out what George Romero wants us to know. It's just no longer there. So I give Land of the Dead a C. As for the Blu-ray, it looks spectacular. There's nothing wrong with it. I've owned this movie twice. I've owned it on DVD. And the Blu-ray, as I said, it looks perfect. You have a couple of special features, nothing too fancy. You have a feature commentary, deleted scenes, and a couple of other featurettes that are okay. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. As always, from now until then, accept no substitutes. The Master's here.